I only know if you remain faithful to the assumption it's going to happen, and you're going to be promoted towards the fulfillment of the state that you have dared to assume that is yours. I could tell you unnumbered stories along this nature. So here I say, dwell in the end. The end is where we begin. For if I've seen my name on the marquee, that's the end. I don't wait for the incident to take place in my world to move from one to the other, leading up to that. I dwell in the end. If I go to the very end, what would it be like were it true?
I move from one state into another state. If it is the state desired, then I have a sense of relief when I get into the state desired. If tonight I was up against it financially, and then suddenly I came into a fortune, what would be the outstanding feeling that I would have? Would it not be relief? So I insist, of all the pleasures that man could ever experience in this world, relief is the most keenly felt.
Therefore, this is a true statement. All things were made by him, and he is your own wonderful human imagination. All objective reality is solely produced through imagining. The clothes you wear, the chairs in which you are seated, this in which we are now placed, everything was once only imagined. Now tonight, find out exactly what you, not what they think you ought to want, what you want. Ask no one's permission. You don't need any man's permission. You don't need your own decision. What do I want? Now, what would it be like if it were true? What would I feel like were it true? Now, catch the mood and try to give that mood all the sensory vividness of reality, all the tones of reality, and then sleep in it, just as though it were true. And then await the inevitable.
You put it into the seed, into the ground of your own wonderful human imagination. Now bear in mind, the vision has its own appointed hour. It ripens. It will flower. If it be long, wait, for it is sure and it will not be late, not for that seed. One seed may take 24 hours. Another may take, like a hen's egg, 21 days. A little lamb takes 5 months. A horse takes a year. Human being, 9 months. So each seed has its own appointed hour. So don't be concerned. You did the work. All you need do is simply leave it alone. And don't raise one finger to make it so. And don't discuss it with anyone else. I act as though I had what I sought. I act as though I heard that you have what you asked of me. And then I yield completely to that depth of my own being, who is God, and allow him from that depth to externalize it for me. As he tells us in the 55th chapter of Isaiah, your ways are not my ways. As the heavens are higher than the earth, so are my ways higher than your ways. So do not ask how it's going to be done. All I have to do is to completely yield to this being within me. For he has ways and means I, on this level of my being, know not of. I assume that it's done and gave thanks within me. You want to go someplace, you can't afford it? Put yourself there. It's all in your imagination. And having gone there in your imagination, and then seeing the world from that point, you're going to go there. But you say, well, I can't afford it. Who's asking you if you can't afford it or not? Who's asking anything about how you got there? If you're there, then you are there. If man is all imagination, he must be wherever he is in imagination. So you go in imagination. And having gone there and prepared it by viewing the world from it, then you return here, wherever you were physically. And then you are carried across a series of events which you do not consciously devise. And across this bridge of incident you move under compulsion to fulfill the place where you are standing in your imagination.
I'm not a rational person when it comes to the world.
To me, I do not go along with the reasoning mind. I am talking of an entirely different principle. I am speaking of imagination, and imagination to me is Jesus Christ. And Jesus Christ to me is God. And there is nothing but God, and all things are possible to God.
How will I then feel after him? What would the feeling be like if it were true? What true? That I am the man that I would like to be. What would the feeling be like? Test. For all things are made by him, and without him was not anything made that was made. Well, now, if I dare to assume that I am now the man that I want to be, and I persist in that assumption, watching my mind morning, noon, and night, that anything that I find myself dwelling upon that is in conflict with that assumption, I ignore it, I put it aside. I will be faithful to this divine vision, the vision of myself. So anytime I catch myself daring to feel less than the thing that I'm feeling or trying to externalize in my world, I simply stop it and go back to that assumption that I am the man that I want to be.